Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and today we are going to have a cool talk about the new rope changes. But as always, do remember that we have the sheet where there is all the subtlety information available, and also we are back to doing log reviews and coaching if you are interested. Like and subscribe, and then let's go into the meat of the thing. Now, as you know, this Friday there were some changes to so many specs. These are going to go into the next week. And sadly, Solidity gets no changes, so we are going to get buried. But it's not like Assassination and Outlaw got also a huge deal of changes. We are going to just see a little bit of a caustic spatter buff, Garrote and Rupture, and Fan of Nice and Crimson Tempest. I don't know how strong numerically these changes are, but let's say that you are going to get around 1% single target, around 3% in raid cliff AoE or something, in dungeons around a 3%, and in big AoE around a 5% for assassination. As for Outlaw, the change is around a 3.5% single target gain, and then depending on how the cliff works, you can get from a 2% gain to a 1% AoE loss as the targets increase. Now, it seems that they don't want Outlaw to cliff. They hate it for some reason, I don't know. But at least they hate it a little bit less than Sub, because Sub got a 15% nerf, Outlaw at least got a 1-2% nerf. Assassination just got buffs, because why not? It's Assassination, you know, it needs buffs when it needs buffs. It was not performing super well. And as you always know, as Solity, we are still doing kind of fine in rate by their metrics, let's say. Of course, just ignore that the rate has a lot of niches and we are not good in any of them as a rogue. We don't have a strong single target, we don't have a strong cliff, we don't have a strong a burst AoE anymore. A sub, we do have a decent amount. Like, let's not kid ourselves. In bosses where you can pad quite a bit, sub is still decent. But the problem is your pad it's a little bit decent, but then your boss damage is not that good. In some bosses, you may see assassination go a lot up on boss damage because they just raid leaders just give up and say just hit the boss, because if you're going to do 1 million on orbs in Sarhadar, might as well just hit the boss harder. Same in Boracius. Yeah, if you are going to put a rupture in one of those little banelings and do like 400k, because you also have to move your mark and then move your mark back, or play fight bound, it's going to be very annoying. Now, are we going to expect more changes coming for subtlety, assassination, or outlaw? It's actually quite unlikely. So this means that this tier is going to be a little bit sad from rogue unless there is more tuning, but not in the way that normal people will care about or notice, because if they have a rogue in their party, it may be doing decent damage. But if you are in a top tier environment, you are not going to get invited to Mythic Plus, because Rogue also does a decent damage. Like, if you are in a party with a Rogue, you can be happy that it will do damage and it will survive quite a bit, because we are a little bit tanky. But the problem is it only has a single target interrupt and a single target lockdown. That both of those are stuns. One that only sub can kind of spam if you will get talented into it, the chip shot one. But I don't really recommend it because the other talent is just so good. And the other one is gouge or blind. I do recommend short blind because it's ranged, and you can also talent blackjack. It's nothing crazy. Tricks of the trade is good, but remember also, if you are in Mythic Plus, don't get the 1 hour streak of the trade, because you can get some crazy situations with tanks dying and then getting aggro at the beginning of the dungeon, etc. etc. Now, I'm not going to do the raid review like I did the other times, because nothing much has changed. We still suck some paladins. We are decent in dragons now that there has been more data. In Chimaeras, we are also kind of decent, but also not crazy. And I don't expect many things to change as we get more data on Cosmos Mythic. Likely next week, I will talk a little bit about how Cosmos Mythic goes as more guilds are going to it. And just forget about veteran. We don't have. We used to have a good damage profile of burst in the 30 seconds, but you know how it goes. It's only going to have one or two phases likely. One of those with Bloodlust, and we don't really scale that well with Bloodlust. And even Assassination is doing less burst than Guardian Druid. So yeah, that's not cool outcome. Not going to take more of your time. Do know that I am going to upload the mythic kills of our bosses. So if you see a spam of videos, it's because of that. And have a nice day, and I will see you on the next video. You can also join me in Dooming in the Discord if you really like it. You will find me there quite often.